Welcome. It is so good to have this time to connect with you because it's tough, hey? It really is. And I don't know how you're feeling. Some of us are home with our families. You will, I guarantee you, hear clumping around of both my family who is home. Hey, Rachel, how are you? And I'm home with my family. Some of us are home alone and have been stuck in lockdown by yourselves. Some of you have been with housemates, and it can be all sorts of settings. But it's interesting, isn't it? So I'm really glad to see you. I love seeing how you're joining. Welcome. It's good. Hey, Helen, how are you? It's wonderful to just be together, isn't it? Okay, hands up. I can push the like button if you are so done with Zoom calls. I'm so done. How do I like my own thing? Hi, Melissa. Hi, Karen. Oh man, I am so. Is it just me, or are Zoom calls more tiring than regular meetings? I feel it. I don't know why. By the way, if you're obsessing about my hair, yes, I did cut my hair by myself, and I'm just noticing that these are drastically different things. Oh, man. Oh, hey, Gemma, how are you? It's good to see you. Well, anyways, I'm glad you're all here, and I'm glad you're here to join us for About Loneliness as a Leader. This was actually scheduled before the whole COVID-19 thing hit, and that was something that we wrestled with. We were like, oh, should we do something more on connecting families and all that stuff? And we actually felt that this was a significant topic that actually was really important that we went ahead with, because I feel like it sort of intensifies this. Oh, I'm so glad it's not just me who finds screen time exhausting. Although I haven't worn jeans in like a month, which I do really appreciate. So what we wanted to talk about today is about loneliness as a leader. And what I wanted to invite you to do is to ask those really hard questions that you're struggling with, or share your scenarios of where you're at, and we can maybe as a group sort of come up with ways of helping you, or of giving voice to it. But if you just want to sit and listen to somebody who understands what it's like, feel free to do that too. Like, this is your space to do this. And I kind of wanted to, I was prepping for it, and I was like, oh, dare I be that honest? But I think I'm going to be that honest because sorry, I think I hear one of my family choosing to have a bath at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. Because I feel like honesty, we're okay. We're in a secure, protected group. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share a little bit about my life and about what I think. And you can totally disagree, so feel free to disagree. I don't know about you, but when I think about loneliness as a leader, all of my emotions, particularly when I'm experiencing it, are all muddled up. And so I don't tend to be able to identify very clearly, you know what I'm feeling, loneliness as a leader. What I tend to experience first is, I'm feeling that. And so I can't express it. It's just a fog of, I'm in a funk, or I don't know, I'm feeling disconnected, or I don't know, I'm just feeling that I'm just not here. And I find it really hard to talk about. And so when we label something like loneliness as a leader, what we tend to get trapped in is that it's hard to articulate at all what we're talking about. And so what I felt would be really helpful to start off in my reflections of working for churches for 15 years is actually, I think, within this whole loneliness thing, there's 4, I guess, like pillars, like table legs, that are holding this thing up. I was sort of trying to articulate my own thoughts to myself, and I was sort of picturing it like this. You're now going to come really close to my tummy. Yep, that's a terrifying shot. Okay, so what I was thinking about is that, like, our lives in ministry are kind of like these 4 pillars, this sort of idea of loneliness that can hold up. Hold on, let me see if I can do it like this. Visual. So, okay. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. That can hold up like a table. And we're like, okay, and if we have these 4 things in place, fantastic. We're really solid and we're fine. And we can do without one of them, you know, like, but it definitely makes it more unstable. And we take away another one, and it just collapses. And I feel that this I find really helpful to think through, because it helps me identify, sorry, I'm obsessive with my Sharpies, need to make sure I put them all back, is that I began to ask myself, do I have all 4 pillars in place, rather than just, am I lonely, am I not lonely? And so what these 4 pillars are, and we're going to talk through them, are church family, companionship, a safety net, and a place to share hearts and be understood. And when we have those in place, then we feel okay, we feel secure. And when we don't, then the loneliness can overwhelm us. And I just want us to talk through those 4 pillars, because I find it so helpful. Oh, I covered the mic. Sorry, and thank you, Hannah. So let's talk through those. The first one I want to talk about is companionship. Oh, no, I want to talk about church family first. Church family is so significant in our lives. It's partially why we choose to work for a church, because we're like, church is important. Church is significant to the lives of all people. Church is something that is really, really important. And then we start working for a church, or we become a significant role within a church. And all of a sudden we can feel like church, that thing that we feel is vital, gets stolen away from us, and instead we have a workplace, or we have a place of responsibility. And when that church family sense gets stolen from us, it really impacts how we feel, particularly around loneliness, because I think we sometimes forget to articulate, what does church mean to me? And if you have a pen and paper around you, I'd really like you to just take a moment to jot this down. I'd like you to jot down, what is church? What makes church for me? And I know my thoughts because I had to write them down, but just scribble them down, or just think if you're an introvert, or if you're an outward processor, feel free to just talk out loud at yourself or others in the room. But what makes church for me? When I picture being part of a church family that makes me feel connected and part of that church, what is it? What is it for me? So just take a moment to write it down. Writing mine down. Okay. Often I find that we have never articulated that, so we articulate it for other people. This is what church should be. But for us, when we know that, then we can begin to fill it. So for me, I found that church for me is about being able to worship unseen. There's something about being a small part of a great body of people singing to God. And I found, therefore, when I was working for a small church, or when I was working for a church that had very little worship, I really struggled with loneliness, because feeling part of a community was so important to me, and part of that was singing, and feeling that unseenness. So I wasn't like, yeah, there's music going on, but most of the time on a Sunday morning, you're like looking and welcoming families and doing that thing and sorting out that thing. And so I never really got a chance. And so when I began to realize that I was experiencing loneliness, one of my checks in my head is to say, am I worshiping with a body of people, or am I just working during that time? And so sometimes it's trying to grab more worship. Sometimes it's going to a service that's not normally mine, showing up at the 8:00 formal service, or the evening service, or going to a place where they normally play music for me. And I'll sit on the floor. If you ever go to a church that I'm working at, I'm usually sitting on the floor, because that's how I can guarantee no one can see me. And I sit on the floor on the side up against the wall, and I worship, because that not only helps me connect with God, but it helps me feel my place as part of a church. And I think that is really significant, to feel as a member of the congregation, not just a leader who's serving it. And some of that is in our head. Some of it is us not giving us permission to be part of the congregation, because this is where I work, they're paying me to do this, I need to work. And there's something about cultivating our hearts to say, this is also my church, and this is where I choose to work that out. And for some people, it's being part of a small group, and therefore saying, yeah, no, this small group is just for me, and I'm gonna be totally me in this place. But what does church mean for you? I'd love to hear if you have any struggles with finding your place in that, or what has been the hindrances that has allowed you to do that. One of the biggest mistakes I think I made in ministry, it was my first job in ministry, was I was working for 3 churches. It was like 3 different churches, and they all wanted to like blend their youth groups. And so in the end, my team was running 14 clubs a week, and we were bouncing between churches, and I've never felt so lonely. I had good friends around me. I had all the other pillars in place, but the fact that there was no church family that I belonged to really hurt me. And so I began to realize, like, the chat before church and after church that isn't about children's ministry, but is just the sort of, hey George, how are you? And George saying, oh, did you buy that new thing? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And that sort of weird community chat was important to me, because at that job, I never showed up for any of that. I'd show up for my job, I'd do my job, I'd leave before all the people came. And that was deeply significant. I discounted myself from the church family. So for you, in the way that God has made your heart up, what makes you part of church family? Does that make sense? And problem solving that. That's really, really helpful. For me, also having people care for me unconditionally is really useful. As part of that church family, I need old people. And so often I'll just target some old people and be like, would you pray for me and take care of me? Because I really need people like you in my life. And they were like, we will love you ferociously. So do whatever you need, and be bold to ask for that and to give yourself permission for that. The next thing is, so we have church family. I don't know how I'm going to visually represent this because I was just working from home. I think this will be in reverse, but I'm going to put it up anyways. Church family. Is that reverse? You can't even see it. Never mind. Church family. Keep it in your brain. Here, we can all make a chart with a table at home. The second thing is companionship. And I found that when I'm feeling that fog of disconnection, the first question I ask is, how am I feeling with my church family? Am I feeling connected to my church family? The second thing I ask myself is, do I have companionship? Companionship is the sort of people to do life with. Not necessarily the people who hold your heart, and I consider this a different section. But the people who you laugh with and the people who you just get to be bodies with in a room, I find that when you work for a church, often that is what goes, because you can often feel used by the people that you work with. And now my job is to serve this community, and so therefore when you say, hey, you want to get together for something, you're kind of always thinking, oh no, at some point are they going to bring up something they don't like about the church? Are they going to put my hat back on, my church leader, children's pastor, youth pastor hat back on? I just want to be me, and I feel like they see me as the job, and that can make us feel like we have no companions to do life with. And I just wanted to encourage you that companionship is a thing. It is something important that affects how you feel in terms of your leadership. And so therefore, I feel like with no authority whatsoever, but I'm going to speak it clearly, I give you permission to have friends, real friends that you hang out with and don't have to talk about church with, friends that you see as people and not as your parishioners. Because I found in my mistake life that I was quite upset with congregations, because I felt like I'd be like, hey, let's be friends. And they'd be like, yes, but you are the children's pastor with the hat on. And I found that I felt resentful about that, and like, oh, no one will ever love me as me. But then I also realized that I was giving them the parishioner hat, the congregation hat, you're somebody I have to take care of and protect from me, and so I began to sort of model in companionship what I was hoping for. And so to say, hey, you want to go out and just do stuff, and if they wanted to talk about church, rather than go, oh, here comes my church hat on, I'd be like, oh, that sounds awful. No, I know, I understand that is frustrating. Yeah, what are you going to do about it? And I just listened as if I was a friend who had no power in the church. And you know what? That's all they needed. And I found that I defaulted to my church hat, and I defaulted to shoving the congregation hat on them, when actually, if I just listened as a friend and talked as a friend, I had much more companionship there. Also, if you're someone who works from home, and a lot of us don't have offices, then that can be incredibly lonely. And often we're like, I don't need like friends. I need just someone to like be in a room with. And that's okay. So if that's you and you feel you really need that, if you're an extrovert working from home or just somebody who misses being in companionship with somebody, that's something that you can problem solve, not in ways you think. So like currently I'm working for BRF, so I'm not working for a church, but our children's pastor, who I absolutely love, she, before lockdown, would come around one day a week, if we could make it happen in schedules, and she would just work in my office in my house, and we would just be in this little teeny room. She'd be doing her work and I'd be doing my work, and then once in a while we'd be like, hey, what do you think about this? And we would make our own little office space because we just wanted to have companionship with someone. And there are loads of people that you could do that with. There is somebody in the congregation who works from home who you could be like, hey, you know what, just one day a week, can I just come work in the same space you are, or work downstairs while you work upstairs and us have lunch together, or however you want to do it. How do we make that happen? I know other children's pastors, I know 2 youth pastors who just decide to Skype all day. They just sort of turn it on and then ignore each other all day, but it makes them feel like they're not alone. And so if you're someone who needs that companionship, that's okay. I'm finding particularly in lockdown, that is what's missing from our relationships, isn't it? It's that sort of being together. So we're having all these Skype Zoom calls where we're like talking intensely, but the just being together is something that we miss. I do this with my friend because I need that. My friend who is across, he's in London, and I missed sort of just hanging out with him. And we both love Star Trek, Star Trek. And Star Trek Picard came out, and those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. But we were like, woo! And our spouses don't care. And so he and I were like, let's watch it together. So at 11 o'clock at night, on the night that it came out, we would like come together and we would watch it at the same time with our cameras watching, and we'd talk and gasp and look at each other. And that was so wonderful for me. I didn't have to talk to somebody. I could just be with somebody. Who are you having companionship in your life? And particularly in this lockdown, I think we can feel that intensely. And if our bodies can't be there, then how can we do it in a way that reduces the upfront stress and makes the laughter and the joy and the WhatsApps, where I find a lot of people just really connecting through WhatsApp with other people who understand from the church is great. So companionship. I see we have a great comment from Jessica. And as a children's family worker, I'm the only person of my age in the church who does not have kids. Oh, yeah. It's really hard to find friendship within the church without my work hat on. I've been so blessed by finding friends outside my church who are in similar positions and who I can be open with. I think that's really significant. I want to say one, I totally understand the church hat thing. And it is really hard to find friendship. Sometimes it's about targeting the one church I worked with, the staff that I was overseeing. We would be like, oh, I really want to be her friend. She's so cool. I really, really want to be her friend. And we'd be like, you should do it. And we're like, oh, I'm too scared. And all of a sudden it turned into like, no, I don't know. Yes, go ask her. Go ask her to like go have fun. We're like, yes, go, yay! And we sort of encouraged each other to like find friends, even if they were in a totally different life stage, just because we thought they were cool. But also, I think there's the finding companionship within the church. But absolutely, finding companionship without the church is so important. My closest friends are people who don't work or go to the church that I go to, because I've carried them with me from church to church to church for the past 15 years. But we have a WhatsApp group that we are talking on nonstop. We Zoom once a week. We are at each other's homes when we're not in lockdown on the weekends, and I sort of cultivate those outside church relationships because those are the people who I do companionship with. So whatever you need, have companionship in your life and foster that. The third, thank you for sharing that, Jessica. The third pillar leg for me. So we have church family. How am I feeling with my church family? Am I just missing companionship in my life and fixing that? The third thing I find is, do I have someone to share a heart with and be heard and understood? I think a lot of us in ministry can feel like we're the lone voice in the church, or we are the one who's holding it together. And we feel like we are pastorally caring for everybody else, and there's no one who's hearing us and listening to us. And I think it's okay to name that I'm missing that. I really struggled with saying what I need is people to genuinely hear me and listen to me and want to. I feel like when I work for a church or when I'm in a role, my job is to pour myself out for others. And therefore it is selfish of me to want people to pick me up and hold me and be for me. And I struggled with that for many, many years in working with church. And it crushed me a lot. And I now know that I need people who are like, I want to hear your words, and I want to hear your feelings, and I want to understand where you're coming from, and I want to be for you. And sometimes that's formal and sometimes that's not. There have been churches where I have said, this is what I need. And so I'm going to find 2 or 3 people, and I'm going to go up to them and I'm going to say, I kind of crumble inside unless I have people who I know are for me and praying for me and loving me, regardless of what I'm doing at the church. Would you consider being one of those people who meet up with me once a month, once every 2 months, so I can just talk and be cared for? Would you do that? Is that something that you would consider? Sometimes I have to get bold and do that. Sometimes that sort of naturally happens. Sometimes it's a community. So for some people, they're like, I don't need 1 or 2. I'm an introvert, so I'm like, I need 2 people. But some people are like, I just need a small community, a small group of people. So I know a church leader who has a small group at church, and he was just like, I'm going to tell them everything. I'm going to tell them everything, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm just going to show up and be me. And let them hold me and let them care for me and let me be vulnerable in this place, because that's what I need. And it takes boldness. It takes boldness to say, I rigorously force me to be part of this church community. It's really, really important. Some other good comments. I found with Life Group that people don't necessarily put my children's minister hat on, but my staff team one. Yes, they expect me to be the Bible expert and have all the answers. I just want to be me, a disciple along with everything else. Heather, I think that's a great comment. I think that's really true. People's expectation of people who work for a church is really significant. The way I've tended to cope with that is I have refused to put the hat on, which can be awkward initially. And so they want me to step in, or you feel that pressure. And I began to be like, you know what? I have no idea. And I found that I actually was so embarrassed about not like wanting, well, even if I knew the answer. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, that's a great question. You know, I'm not sure how I think about that right now. And when I was first starting out, I always would put the hat on because I did have the answer, or I didn't have the answer. I felt the pressure too. And I came up with phrases in my head of things of like, well, I'm not sure. I'd like to think about that more. Always bought me more time because there was always somebody there. Or sometimes they want me to be the staff member who has all the answers to like what's happening. And I'd be like, oh, it still hasn't been decided yet. Or we haven't decided how we're going to say it yet. I just had to come up with my phrases. And that helped me get out of all of the staff pivot points, whether it was theological, whether it was about church knowledge. If I had my phrases, then I could say my phrases, and everyone then learned my phrases and knew that I'm not going to talk about that right now, and they could move on from that. But I think for me, on my journey, finding my phrases was really helpful, and sort of refusing to pick up the hat. And it's so hard when people are trying to shove it on you. It's so hard. Because we want to please people, and we want to serve our role, and we want to serve people. We want to be that. And I just want to give everyone permission. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be you. And it's okay to make choices in a group that says, I just want to be me. Rhea's also saying, also as a parent, I love having friends who don't have kids. It reminds me I'm a person other than a mother. Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely that sort of breath of church community, isn't it? So feel free to share hearts and be understood. I also found really helpful in my journey of loneliness that one of the things that really shut me down was I didn't know how to talk about work stuff with people, because I was like, if I talk about work stuff, then am I betraying my boss or am I betraying my colleagues by sharing that I'm struggling? So then I would just be like, and not talk about stuff. And I found that incredibly disconnecting because if being part of the church family is one of the pillars, if having companionship is the second, but sharing hearts and being understood is the third, then I've got to figure out a way to talk about this stuff so that I can explore, I'm feeling this, and have people go, oh, I understand, without feeling like I'm betraying the people I love at my job. And so I began to try to find my line, and I made a lot of mistakes. But for me, my line became about what they did versus how I'm feeling. So how I talk to my husband is different than how I talk to everybody else. So my best friends, my husband, I'll tell the whole story. And then he said this, and then I did this, and then they were like, meh, and then I was like, what? And I'll do the whole story. With a group of people that I love who are there to support me and I just want to be me in, I can say I had a really tough week, and I felt, have you ever had a conversation where you feel like you're just not hearing each other? And I feel like sometimes that happens, and I don't know if it's me, and I don't know if I need to say things better, but I'm just heart exhausted. That is the authentic, my feelings about it, without me giving what they did, what I did story. And so I gave myself permission to talk about my feelings and to talk about general scenarios rather than talking about the stories. And I found that really helpful in my head. It took me like 7 years of working for a church to figure out that I could talk about my feelings without needing to betray anybody's confidences or speak badly about someone. And I found that helpful. Now, you may disagree with my rule in my head. That's absolutely fine. Come up with your own. But I found once I had a structure, then I could quickly get into it rather than having no structure and just shutting myself down. That I found really, really helpful. And the last one, and I'd love to continue to write your comments and your wisdom on this, because this is just one person's experience, and we all need each other's experiences. Is the fourth thing, and I almost didn't write this down, but I feel maybe it's just me, but the fourth thing, if we have a church, how am I feeling as part of the church family? Am I having companions to genuinely laugh with and be with and have friends with, both inside and outside the church? The third thing is, do I have people to share hearts with and be loved and be understood? The fourth thing I found is, do I have a safety net? Because sometimes we feel like it's all on our shoulders. And if we're sick, there is no one who will pick that up off of us. There is no one who can just step in and say, it's going to be okay, I got it. And that, just talking about it reminds me, that is a very lonely place to feel. Because in normal life, the ability to put stuff down and say, I just can't today, and have someone else say, I got you, is one of those things that I think makes us feel lonely. I remember the time I really realized this was I was told I couldn't have kids, and then miraculously got pregnant. And I was supposed to be running a toddler group. You have a toddler group things. And I had lost one. I had lost a baby before. And he was very young, under 10 weeks or something. And all of a sudden I started bleeding when I was supposed to go to toddler group. And it was in that moment where I'm bleeding, and so I curl up on a ball on the floor. I'm praying for the life of my child, and I'm thinking, who can I call to open the building for the toddler group and to carry it? And I realized in that moment I had no one. No one was my safety net. I tried to call the team to let them know I couldn't be there, but I didn't feel that someone was like, I got it, don't worry, lift. And it was one of the most lonely moments of my life. As opposed to other places, other churches that I've worked at, the team I have now, where I feel like I can be like, oh guys, I got a headache. And they're like, nope, we got it, put it down, don't you pick that up, turn off the screen, we are here, we have it, don't even worry about it, and don't even worry about rushing back. When you have that safety net, you're like, I am loved and I have a team. And if we don't have that, often I find that is the niggle, that is the thing that is deep inside of us that we are missing, that makes us feel that. Once we can identify it, And we can say, okay, I need to build a safety net. I need to tell my team. I need to tell my boss. I need to call another children's pastor. We have a conference called The Forge, which is like 3 days away with other people like us. And we just sit around and talk and laugh and share ideas. And you should come. It's really fun. But a lot of times we develop relationships out of that. And so there have been times where you develop a relationship. And we've had people who are like, I now have chickenpox and can't run holiday club. And they just call up one of their friends and be like, I am out. Can you come and children's pastor for me for a week? And they're like, yes, I got you. I got you back. And they'll come and do it. And that sense of cultivating relationships, voicing, I feel like I don't have a safety net. Who do I call? Who can pick that up for me? How can I grow those people and say, you know what, I'm scared that if I get sick, no one can hold that. Who can hold those bits for me and put in place a safety net for you? And sometimes it's about growing that culture in your team. When I discovered that sort of safety net thing, I realized no one's capable of doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build that culture within my team, my children's ministry team. So I began to do that for everyone else. Like, if you're having a bad morning, I got your back. I will cover your session. And I just began to proactively be their safety net that said, you don't have to have a really, really good reason. If you're struggling, if you are struggling with mental health, we had somebody who was struggling with mental health. And I was like, if you're struggling with mental health and you're having one of those depression mornings, I got your back. It's okay. I will find it. I came up with a list of 20 people who were willing to step in at the last minute for my children's ministry team. So at any time, if someone didn't show up on a Sunday, I had a list of 20 people who were in church at the time who would be willing to step in, which meant that they had a safety net. So when I said, I'm throwing up, guys, I had 20 people who were like, we got you, it's okay, we know exactly what we're doing, it's going to be fine. And it's really good to build that. So if you feel like you don't have peers who can do that, if you don't have a boss who can step in and do that, build that within your team. Be that culture. Because once you are the safety net for other people, they really want to be the safety net for you. We have a great comment coming in. I have felt people often don't know how to pastor the pastor. Oh, great. Yes, that's so true. It's almost like I need to give people permission to care for me. I really agree with that, Jennifer. That is excellent observation. Because often they feel like, well, for lots of different reasons. I've had people say it's because like I'm there and they're supposed to take care of me, or that they feel like I'm their pastor and they feel like there's a discrepancy. And I think that permission to say, I need you and I need it to look like this, or please take care of me, is really helpful. It's a really vulnerable thing to say, but to say that gives the people who are excellent at caring for people the permission to do that for you. I think that's really great wisdom, Jennifer. Yes, those are my 4 things. When you're feeling in that fog, that fog of I don't know, I would suggest you step back and ask yourself, how am I feeling about my place within the church family? Not just as a servant, but as a worshiper, as a colleague, as a friend, as someone who is loving and being loved. And how am I feeling about that? And can I invest in that? Do I have companionship of people to laugh with and be with and just be me with? Do I have people who listen to me and hear my heart and understand me? And do I have a safety net? And I find that when you ask yourself those questions and talk about it with others, you can sort of diagnose where your missing leg of the table is, and then you can problem solve. And some of us are like, I only have one leg. And that's okay. Then you know what you need to build, and you know why you're feeling what you're feeling. And then you can begin to bolster those things up. Yes. Do you have, I'm going to pray for you in a second, so don't go before I pray for you. But do you have any other wisdom for each other? Any things that is really helpful for you to, I guess I'm just thinking now, the other thing is being connected with other people who are in a similar job to you, I find invaluable, which is why we do the Forge, which is why we do things like this, because sometimes just not having to explain yourself is nice. And for some of us who don't have friends in children's ministry or in youth ministry or in senior leadership, if you don't have peers to talk with, I just really want you to know that you have us. And if you are alone like that, I'm promising stuff that I have no structure for, but I love you. And so therefore, just contact us. If you really are just deeply alone in your ministry and you don't know anyone else like you, then send us a message, and we'll see who we know in the area, who you can get together with, because for us it's an absolute lifeline to have people who are on the same journey as you. So unless there's any comments or questions, I just want you to know you are loved. I pray for you a lot. We pray for you a lot. We understand. Our team, I think just our Parenting for Faith team, have worked in churches for, I'm calculating, like 25 years, something like that. So we know it. We've been there. We are still on it. We are still learning, but we understand. And you can do this. Ministry was never meant to be lonely. When I look in Scripture and I look at Jesus was like, oh man, I'm in ministry. You know what I should do? Grab some people around me. And he had his close 3, he had his 12, he had his like 70. He spent some time being like, okay, and now I need some alone time. But most of the time he had people with him, people who he could sleep in a boat with. I love that. Like, that is true. Like, what I love about the Forge is there are like people just napping everywhere. There's just like bodies everywhere, just falling asleep. And there's something about feeling so comfortable with people that you'll just nap in a room with them that I absolutely love. And Jesus would take naps with people, and he would talk honestly, and they'd travel together. And he did ministry with people. When he sent them out, how did he send them? He didn't be like, go on off on your own. Good luck. He sent them off in twos to be with each other. Churches were small groups of people. We were not meant to be alone in this. And therefore, to me, loneliness as a leader isn't an inevitable consequence of ministry. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not just how it is at the top. It is not. And therefore, I feel like we can't flourish unless we have these pillars in our life. And I think our ministries will be so much better when we feel connected to church family, when we feel like we have people who are hearing us, when we feel like we have a safety net, when we have companionship. Our ministries are so much better because we're firing on all cylinders the way we're supposed to be. A question has come in. How do you deal with the lack of confidence in your role? Yeah. I feel like we can all raise our hands. Honestly, I have never felt... is that true? Okay, I would say 98% of the time, I have not felt confident in my role. Just like, I got this, I'm going to nail this. Because there's so many moving pieces. I think there are very few of us who are like, oh yeah, got this, completely understand what it is. Because the roles that we have are these ever-shifting, ever-changing, hard-to-control stuff. So I tend to not be confident in my role. I don't tend to be confident in me, like, I got this, I nailed this, I'm fantastic, I'm going to be great. What I have confidence in is the fact that God picked me. There could have been anybody who stepped into it. There are people who can do the job that I do way better than me. And I run into them all the time. And I work with many of them. Anna and Becky could both do my job way better than I can. But you know what? I got picked. And God said, in this wonderful journey of ministry, I want you to step into this role. And so I don't have to be the best at it. And I don't have to be super confident that I'm amazing. All I have to do is be confident that of all the people he picked me. And I said yes. And therefore, he is going to walk alongside of me, and he's going to teach me, and I am going to make mistakes, and I am going to fix those mistakes. And I am confident that I will do my best and that God will work through me. I'm confident that God is already working, and he has said, you walk alongside me. And that is powerful. So don't worry about trying to talk to yourself and be like, you have something unique and you have something to give and you can do this. And of course it's you, and God picked you for a reason because you're amazing and all of that stuff. Don't worry about trying to get in your head and be like, I can be amazing. Because what I am is chosen by God to step into this role now. I may not be the best, but I'm going to run at it hard. And therefore, when I'm talking to a parent who's like, I don't like the way you're doing it, my thought isn't, oh my goodness, she doesn't like me. My thought is, I am here to serve this person. How can I help this person find peace? How can I help their kid find God? How can I listen to them so they feel loved and listened to? And how can I take on board what's wise and get rid of any of the stuff that God isn't right? So often if someone's at me, sometimes I'm like, okay, God, how much of this is truth? How much of this is their fear? How much of this is me just needing to listen to them? Like, give me some wisdom, God, because it's coming at me in full force. But as soon as I go into, I'm a terrible person, then I sort of feel like I'm not doing the job that I've been asked to do. I haven't been asked to be really proud of my, structure and think I'm the best. I've been asked to serve this community and serve them well. And God said I could do it. So I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. That's how I position myself. There are these 3 statements that I hold to, like my core of confidence, which is God is awesome and holy, and he loves me totally. So not I'm awesome and holy, but he is awesome and holy, and he loves me totally. He is daily shaping me to be more like him, and I'm not finished yet. I give myself permission to be not finished. So I'm terrible at admin. Well, some people think I'm terrible at admin. I think I'm quite good. Some people think I'm terrible at admin, and I'm not finished yet. I'm getting better. I'm way better than I was 10 years ago. And daily, God's shaping me to be more like him. So I'm not finished yet. I'm not surprised when people are annoyed that I'm imperfect, because I'm imperfect. So God is awesome and holy, and he loves me totally. He is daily shaping me to be more like him, and I'm not finished yet. And the last one is God has invited me to be a small part of his great plans on this earth. And that's what I tell myself when I'm struggling with confidence, that he's amazing, and he's chosen me, and I'm not finished yet, but he is out there and invited me to be a small part of his great plans. So be confident in that. And you'll find that your confidence in who you are right now grows when you believe in those confidences. I hope that helps. I don't see any other questions or comments coming through. So what I'm going to do is pray for you, and then when I open my eyes, if I see anything else, I'll answer it, and if not, then I will see you next month. But we are here to do that. Oh, my Anna wants me to say something. Oh, because we love you guys, we realize that it's sometimes hard to just keep saying, look at this, look at this, look at this to your families. But we wanted to encourage you in a way that will help your parents connect with how to help their kid meet and know God in this season. So we have a pack of shareables, stuff that you can just put up on your Facebook or on your website or whatever to encourage parents, that sort of says, why not try this today? Which isn't activities, but it's like, ask your kid this question, or hey, remember that you're amazing, or why not share this aspect of your life with God with your kid? That goes along with our 5 tools. And so we have a whole bunch of shareables for that, along with icons and things. It's totally free. But make sure you sign up for, Anna's going to type in what you're actually supposed to do. But make sure that you sign up for our newsletter, I think is what she's wanting me to say. I'm doing this so badly, Anna. I love you. But make sure you sign up for that, and she's going to give you the link to that. And then you can get all of the free stuff that we're sending you. All right, now I'm going to pray for you. God, I love this group of people. I love this group of people. Thank you that you have called us to be a small part of your great plans on this earth. Thank you that we are imperfect and make mistakes, and know that sometimes we feel like there are people who could do it better than us, but I thank you that you picked us. And God, we want to embrace this fully. But God, it can be so lonely. And Jesus, I'm just reminded in Gethsemane when you were praying and you had asked your friends to stay up with you and pray with you, and then you turn around and they were asleep, and just that sense of being let down and lonely in ministry, one of these moments where you wanted the most support and you were lonely. And God, some of us feel like that. And I know that isn't how it's designed. It's not how it's meant to be. And I know that you know that feeling. And so, God, I pray that you would reveal to us our hearts, that you would help us to feel connected to our church family and problem solve that. God, I pray that you would reveal to us companions and how to be with those that we may not feel alone. God, I pray that you would help us to share our hearts with those others who want to hold us. Help us to find those people who will understand us. Help us to find those people who will be our safety net, and find those peers who we can talk to and share our journeys with. I thank you, God, that you have made us to minister side by side with others. And particularly in this season of lockdown, I pray you'd help us to find it. That we know that even in lockdown, if we can feel this way, what will it be like when we all can see each other again? God, I pray for those of us who are hurt, who are numb, who are wounded in our loneliness. I pray right now that you would be assigning people to surround them with companionship and love and understanding and laughter. God, I thank you that you are a God of family, and I pray that you would teach us and show us and shape us into family. I thank you that you go ahead of us, and I pray that you would provide for us this family. In Jesus' name, amen. Right. I love you guys. I understand. Jesus understands. You can do this. We are here for you. Message us if you need some encouragement or love, because we're good at just loving on you. But otherwise, hopefully we'll see you next month. I don't even remember what we're talking about. But keep connected here and we'll let you know.